How much would you pay for a list of everyone who has ever sexually fantasized about or masturbated to you? Why? Is there a premium option to filter for everyone who has ever sexually fantasized about or masturbated to me, that'd I'd be happy to see on the list? $10 for a number. And depending on that number is how much I'd pay for the list. How much do I gotta pay to prevent my name from appearing on everyone else's list? Man, I've had some thoughts. Nothing, I done want to know. It's asking for your trouble. I would pay a considerable amount of money to not know about several of them. A nice glass filled with ice-cold sparkling water. $5. It'll be a short list. $20. Realistically it would be interesting, but at the same time I'm concerned if there's something that I'd rather not see on that list. I would pay money to never see it. I wouldn't buy it because I could never emotionally recover if I see a blank paper. As a teacher, I would pay my whole paycheck to not know and to have the list burned. Edit, to be clear. There is nothing shameful about masturbation and fantasizing about people, as long as it stays that way, a fantasy. Being a teenager is tough and they have to navigate a lot of feelings and self-discovery at that time, and it's perfectly normal to develop a schoolboy/girl crush on a teacher. As a teacher, it is your job to recognize those signs and create clear and present boundaries so that students understand your role in their life as an advisor and mentor, rather than an object of sexual fantasy. $0 I do not want to know at all. You keep the list. IDGAF. Why would I pay for a blank sheet of paper? About $100, I think it'd be nice to see more potential romantic partners LMAO. None. Let them have their privacy. Plus what if one of them were an old high school teacher, or a friend's dad? Or a friend's husband? That would be awkward. What's something that's considered normal that creeps you out immediately? Family channels. Imagine having to live your entire life on camera, with little to no privacy without being able to consent for it. Also to my knowledge there are no current laws that protect child influencers' income like child actors have. If your content can't exist without your child, it's their job not yours. Advertising. Especially target advertising. The constant attempt to manipulate you psychologically to make you believe you need something that's only a want. Creepy AF. Tickling that doesn't stop at the victim's request. Open door policies in families. My in-laws just walk in whenever they want and I hate it. When people come to your door and knock or ring the bell and then peer in the window. People making Instagrams for their babies and making captions as if the baby were writing it. Every company creating an ecosystem requiring my home address and credit card and my birthday just to listen to some music or use some software. Not a shred of my identity is unsold at this point. The apparent competition to appear to be the busiest person with the most stuff crammed in. Beauty pageants for young kids. People who share everything on social media. When people refer to kids/babies as flirting when they are just being playful. Instagram accounts with nothing but selfies. Hundreds and hundreds of selfies. It totally creeps me out. People standing next to or behind you when they can just wait or give you a bit more space. I hate going to airports or any other public line and trying to leave space in front of me and the person behind me just shuffles closer trying to get me to move. Trust me, you pushing me to move forwards isn't going to make the line move any faster. It just makes it more congested and it's weird emo. Feeling my own heartbeat. When people document, video record or take a photo or write an article, themselves or other people when helping the impoverished, especially those videos of influencers on YouTube vlogging and helping the homeless, showing their faces and stuff. BS and creepy for me. If you help, just help, no need to let others know. Who is the best example of you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain? My dad. He was always against the Hoa in our neighborhood. Long story short, he wrote an apparently strong-worded letter about all the changes he would make, rules he would enforce, etc. There happened to be a vacancy up for grabs and he ended up as the president. Now he walks around the neighborhood bitching about everyone else's yards. Benedict Arnold. He was possibly the Continental Army's best battlefield general, and he led the Americans to victory at the pivotal Battle of Saratoga, where he was wounded. Had he succumbed to his wounds, the Northeast U.S. likely would be covered with statues of the man. As it was, he stewed over the lack of recognition of his greatness and eventually sold out his country to the enemy. Now, his name is synonymous with treason. Going to go for a historical one. Nero started his reign with 5 great years, probably down to the influence of Seneca and Co., with the Quinquennium Neronese, and ended his life declared public enemy number 1 and having to have his slave do the deed for him. Marshal Philippe Taine from France. WW1 hero after Battle of Verdun and WW2 head of the collaborationist regime of Vichy that helped the Nazis. The African National Congress. The party mainly responsible for the liberation of the South African people from the apartheid regime. Now just a group of totally corrupt cronies. Chrome vs Explorer. People forget but Chrome was once viewed as the heroic frontier market breakers. I just hope Firefox will die a hero / Oscar Pistorius. From global inspiration after winning multiple gold medals running as a double amputee, to convicted wife murderer. Jim Jones. It is said that if he would have died in the 60s he would have been memorialized as a civil rights hero. He was the first to integrate churches in Indiana, he pressured local restaurants to allow African Americans to be able to eat there, he paid the bills of the poor, many lived in his house, he adopted needy kids of various ethnicities. He opened soup kitchens in rough neighborhoods, no-cost nursing homes, and lived a modest life with little to his name to make it all happen. He also toured the evangelist circuits to making large sums of money, just about all of which went to support his poor congregation, of which there were thousands of members. After many years of this service, something happened, drugs, narcissism, paranoia, and wild ideologies, that pushed him into a complete monster. He convinced about these poor people to follow him into a jungle to live out their communist fantasies only to be murdered by Jim. 918 men, women, and children including Jim and his wife died by poisoning on a single day. Edit, Jim died by gunshot wounds. Just want to say, sometimes it works the other way around. There's been some reconsideration of Chamberlain in the lead up to WW2, it seems a lot of his public statements were forced onto him by the state of the British forces, which he tried to fix. Basically, he was told in no uncertain terms they could not fight a war at that point, and he quietly devoted funding to military upgrades etc. A whole load of these examples prove that it's not you become the villain, it's that eventually your secret villainy gets found out. O.J. Simpson. Jared from Subway. Jimmy Savile, when he died someone paid $130,000 for his silver Rolls-Royce because it was his car and he was so loved/famous. His body was displayed in Leeds, my sister went to see, and he was adored across the nation. That was until all of his evil deeds were revealed. His body is now buried in an unmarked grave so that it can't be destroyed. He died a hero but could have easily become public enemy number 1, especially in the era of Me Too and Jeffrey Epstein etc., had he lived a little longer. Fritz Haber, he discovered a way to synthesize ammonia from nitrogen and hydrogen gas, what is crucial for fertilizers. He was also later employed by Germany during World War I to find a way to weaponize chlorine, thus becoming the father of chemical warfare after successfully doing so. Basically, he saved billions and killed millions. Google. Don't Be Evil is completely wiped out of every web page they own. And for a good reason.